and welcome to this video. In this video, we'll cover a common topic. How do you manage your SAP CPI and both have a project and a support track going on? So I think it's a common problem. You have this kind of a long-term support project where you need to create a lot of Iflows that goes live with your normal releases, but you still need to manage your existing integration. So do you actually need a separate landscape for it, and how can you actually manage it in a simple way? A lot of times we have seen customers trying to figure out how to run two landscapes for it, and I guess obviously that's the best, but it still poses a lot of challenges that you need to deal with. So in this video I'll give you some ideas about how you can solve this challenge. So the common flow is we have the following. We have a dev, queue, and a production, and we're using that in our projects landscape. In our support, we just have support to production, and obviously you can have multiple stages in that, and the Figaf tool is supporting virtual landscapes, which make it possible to have multiple configuration along the way. So what we want to achieve is the following. So we have created an Iflow, it's version 1.0.100, and moved it into production. Then our project has started. We have created Iflow 1.2 and moved it to QA to do QA there. What happens is we need to we get our support request and we need to fix what's going on. So the way that can be done is the following. So you will go to here, you will select the release, original release that you have. Go back. So now we have the 1.0 release. We can add our content modifier. Want to, so just add a 2 here to our header field here. That's okay. We will save this as a version 1.44, and this has now been saved. We obviously need to deploy, test, etc. What we can then do in the Figaf tool is we can synchronize this specific package that exists, and you can also synchronize the whole system, and this simply just downloads it and sees all the different versions that you have in your landscape. And we can see that there's now a new version of this Iflow. One other thing you can see here is, before we start is you can check the versions here, and here you can see all the different versions that exist. We have an option here that allows you to actually see all the versions in the different landscapes, and we can see here in the productive system we have this this version. I think it's defined out here, the landscape that we have for this. So this makes it possible for us to actually understand what is going on with it. So we can then go here, we can assign to a ticket 100. We can define it, and we will be using the support landscape, and this is just dev to support. We will start the transport. Obviously we would normally be testing this, and here we then have an option to obviously configure the landscape across our full landscape if we want to, and set up all the different replacements, strategies, etc. So now we can import it. We can also have done QA if we wanted to do that. So pretty simple. We have now processed transported an Iflow that was neat because we needed the support process for it. So now we have transported it to QA, and everybody is happy about that. The next challenge is obviously we need to go back and start figuring out what is going on here. So the way I tried to describe this here, we roll back to version 1.2, and then we do a merge between these things. And obviously, if this was a lot of Groovy code, Java code, this would be pretty simple to do. But I guess a lot of times this would be Iflows that were changed, so you would actually, it would be much easier to just to go in and check what the differences were between these two versions. And the Figaf tool gives us a number of different options for it. So first off, we have here an option here to check versions, and here we can check what are the difference between these two versions. So the two versions we have, we can look at compare, and here we have a number of different options. We can look at BPMN model, and here we can see it is only this artifact that has been changed, where we've added a new property, as I recall it, and the same in this other side. So here we can see the number two. So that means we can actually just in our model edit that. If we had Git challenges, we could also use, or code challenges, we can use the diff to HTML, and here we could see what was difference in it. And if there were any code in it, we would also be able to see it here. And if it was message mappings, we would also be able to see it here and apply them again. The other thing we actually have that makes this a little interesting also is we have obviously populating all of this into a Git repository, and that means that in here we can actually see all the things that are happening to a given Iflow. And so we can look here, show history, so we can see here which versions have happened. So with this we have an option here to do compare versions, and here we can see specifically which part was changed. So we can see here at version 2 we have added this extra one, and with this we have an option also to do fixes and changes in the Git process, comparing files, etc. But obviously BPMN file, you would never get a good way to do a diff and compare between those things, because a lot of strange things happening that is difficult to check out with Git. But this Git flow gives you a good opportunity to look at mappings, look at other options, and select the change that you are wanted to apply. If it's a simple one, you can probably just copy paste. If it's a bigger one, you probably want to use one of the Git merge or something else in that perspective. And then obviously once we have fixed this issue and reverted, we can take an option and transport this Iflow into our QA system, and then we can handle the testing there. The same is so how the Figaf tool helps. So you can in the Figaf tool you can have multiple landscapes for your projects. We have defined this virtual landscapes that allow you to reuse a CPI tenant both for test, QA, in the same one, just by adding prefixes and managing all of this across the board. We have a Git repository that is populated automatically, and with that you can use version comparison, or you can use the built-in BPMN comparison tool that allow you to see specifically what's difference between two different Iflows. I hope this is something that you found interesting. If you want, you can go to figaf.com/devops, sign up and try the tool and see how easy it is for you to use this in your day-to-day support processes. Thank you.